Am I in frame? Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Janyawheeler, and for today I have a brand new video for you all. I'm going to give you all a step-by-step extensive explanation video on how to purchase a home. I did a reel about this probably in January or February. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but it was a little more cut and dry because it was a reel, so it was a lot more condensed. But I wanted to make a video form just for you all who may want to purchase a home next year, probably wanted to do it this year but did not get around to it or didn't know where to start. I want to help you and be your guide to provide that step-by-step process via video on how to do that. So without further ado, let's get into the video and let's start the buying process. So you want to purchase a home and you don't know where to start. You think the process is a lot more complex than it actually is. For step number one, you have to find your right team. This real estate process is literally a team process, down to the loan officers, your realtor, your title, like even the seller and the selling agent, depending on who you get. You really don't know who you get when you're the seller or the selling agent until you start the process. But for the most part, your team is very important around you. But things that you can control are your realtor and your loan officer. So make sure off the bat you have those two people chosen wisely to make this process as smooth as possible. However, a big disclaimer, all transactions are different. In my years in real estate, I have not seen a process that is literally identical. Everyone's process is different. Everyone's transaction is different. It all depends on the situation, the person, what may happen, you know, days before closing, what may be found days before closing. You just really never know. So make sure you stay prayed up and make sure you stay consistent and patient through the entire process. And let's just pray you get to the closing table as smooth as possible. Of course, that's everyone's goal and expectation, but with real estate, you just never really know. It can be beyond your realtor's control. It can be beyond everyone's control. You just have to trust the process and just have faith that the process is going to be smooth for you. Number two, I don't want to go step by step because I guarantee you I'm going to miscount probably halfway through this video. So I'm just going to say the next step. So the next step is to purchase a home. You need your pre-approval letter. This letter is what I tell my clients. An approval letter is basically like your thumbs up that you're good to go, you're approved to purchase a home, and it's going to tell you the exact amount that you are approved for. So for the sake of an example and for the sake of this video, I'm going to say, hey, you're approved for $250,000. Next is shopping for a home. So I like to tell my clients, you know, $250,000 is based off, a lot of people go into it depending on who you are also with like, I don't want to pay more than $1,500 or $1,900 a month in rent mortgage. And based off that, the loan officer will be able to tell you like, hey, so if you're approved for $250,000, if you don't want to pay $2,000 or $1,900, stay under X amount of dollars. So it depends on the process. Like I said, it depends on the loan officer. It depends on a lot of factors. But for the sake of this video, let's just say that you wanted to stay in the range of $250,000. Also, let's note that just because you are approved for $250,000 does not mean you have to stay with that. You can go over that. However, just be mindful that you will have to put forth the difference at the closing table. I like to tell people, you feel like $250,000 is not good for you, just make sure you have the rest of the money that's over the $250,000. That's the difference. So the next process, so you found the home that's for you. One for $250,000 is what you were approved for. You put in an offer, not a contract yet, an offer. And once the offer has been accepted, then it goes under contract. So for instance, I like this is what I tell people, even on my video, I said, this is where negotiation happens. This is where in the process we disclose like, hey, my buyer is requesting that the seller covers $10,000 for the closing costs, prepays or escrow. And you just disclose this type of information in the offer. And based off that offer, it goes to the seller, and the seller is going to say, yes, we like what you're saying. We like the offer that you presented. We're going to go ahead and accept it. Then you are under contract. However, if the seller say, I don't like these numbers, here is what we're going to say, that's called a counter offer. So they're just countering your offer. And then you guys can you guys can go back and forth until you come to a compromise, Or you guys say, hey, you know, we're not coming to a compromise. My buyer's just gonna go elsewhere. You know, that's pretty much how that process works. So say that it's been approved, the sellers did not counter offer, and they approved your first offer. Now the property is under contract. This is where your realtor and yourself need to keep up with the important dates. So depending on what your realtor put on that contract, you have to make sure you stay up. I put it in your calendar. Like, I love to put all the dates that my buyers need stuff due in my calendar, and I give myself a reminder like a week before it's due. So that's like your inspection. Your appraisal, you really don't have control over if you're working with a realtor. The loan officer is the one that's ordering the appraisal. However, you make sure that the money that you have up front, no matter what property you have or what property you are looking at, is an appraisal and an inspection. Those two, what we call in real estate, is gamble money, which I have to find a new term for that because I don't really like the word gamble money, but it's money that you have to have up front no matter what property you are purchasing. This is very important, being that, you know, this is money that typically, if the deal falls through, you cannot get back because you've paid a third party for their services. So just keep in mind that if you paid $600, $500 for an appraisal, and then you paid an additional $500 for an inspection, that is money that if you go moving forward and you don't like something about the property, after a while, you cannot get your money back with the gamble money, not your deposit. There's ways of getting your deposit back based off of your inspection period and your appraisal period and the loan approval period. So those dates are also really important to keep up with, because if you do go over those deadlines, depending on who your realtor is, but if you do go over your deadline, you cannot, there's a chance that the sellers may not give you your money back. So stay up to date with those dates, just so you know, okay, you know, if it's contingent on the appraisal, if it's contingent on the loan approval, I still have an opportunity to get my money back, and also the inspection period. So next, that's what we talked about, the gamble money that you have to have. I would say when I tell my clients, like, a safe amount of money to have when going through this process, like upfront money you have to have during the process, I would say about a good $1,500, so you can get those things out the way, especially depending on who your realtor is or who they recommend for the inspection, and then who the loan officer also has for the appraisal. So those prices are not really fixed because those depend on different people. So I can tell my clients it's $500 because the people that I work with consistently for inspection, and then the loan officer I typically work with, those things are pretty standard for us. So we pretty much know, since we've been working together for a while, the amount of those things. I have seen in cases where you don't have to pay for an inspection because a property might already have an inspection done on it, or you may not have to pay for an appraisal because the property already has an appraisal done on it, but you just never know with the property. So I just always like to tell my clients, just make sure you have a certain amount up front, because all the properties are different and it's different situations for each and every one of them. You did your inspection, you did your appraisal. I guess I could explain to you all about the inspection. Some of you might like, what's an inspection? So the inspection period, let's say for a 30-day contract, is typically around 10 to 15 days, depending on what your realtor puts on there. And this is basically where expert certified inspector goes into the property and check each and everything that we may not see when we walk in at surface level. They will check all the sockets. They make sure that everything is in good standing and everything works properly in the property before you buy it. Like I said, they check the things that we don't see at eye level. So they literally go in with a flashlight, looking at everything, making sure it's working. And if there's something that's not working, they will disclose it on an inspection report, which you will get after your inspection. So you'll see everything about the property, what needs to be done, what is minor, what is major, what is in good standing, what is all right, just everything in detail, even with pictures and explanation, you will get on your inspection report. So based off that inspection report, now you and your realtor say there are a few things that are not in good standing. This is when you and your realtor go back to the sellers and say, hey, I noticed on the inspection report that XYZ needed to be fixed. This is where, hold on. Next is the appraisal. So an appraisal is basically when an appraiser comes out and assess the market value of your property. They're gonna check the interior of your property, exterior properties, even any defects that's on your properties can also play a part in what your market value is. So for instance, say that an appraiser comes out and assess your property and they're like, okay, everything is in good standing. Value is worth $260,000. So say that was the case, this puts you at an advantage because you are now walking in with $10,000 of equity from the value. Next, say like they come back and they say, hey, this property is valued at $240,000. Now you're actually paying $10,000 over what the property is assessed or valued at, meaning that there's an opportunity to negotiate again. You can go back to the selling agent and the sellers and say, hey, the appraisal came back at $240,000. You priced it a little too high. I want to, come down on the price. And there's always room to negotiate. I like when the appraisal comes back because that's like a hardcore evidence. No longer based off like the seller's opinion of what their property is valued at. It's now an appraiser's facts about the property that makes it worth how much it's worth. So that's always a plus when you have that appraisal, because it's like, this is my evidence, okay? You're raising your price too high, you need to come down on it. That's what the appraisal is. So next, you got your appraisal done. You have your inspection done. Sometimes I will say as a disclaimer, your appraisal can come back and they can flag it, or the appraiser may say, hey, this needs to be fixed or this needs to be checked out, and based off that, your loan can be contingent on closing because of a defect or the condition or something within the property or outside of the property, just for your knowledge. I've seen where the lenders say, hey, we're not closing until this is fixed. You and the seller have to come up with some type of compromise to get it done, because not all the times the sellers will have the money, but sometimes they may be fine with fixing it, and you guys just have to literally negotiate, go back and forth until you guys can come up with a compromise. Sometimes that may be walking away from the deal because they cannot fix it or something may happen. It's just whatever the case may be. Now, if it does fall within the appraisal period or the loan approval period, you can still get your deposit back, because that was something that was beyond your control and anybody's control. So most times I have seen where the sellers are like, not willing to fight about it because you're in the clear, but every situation is different. So keep that in mind. So now let's do a recap. So we got our pre-approval letter, we did the inspection, we had the appraisal done, everything for the sake of this video came back clear. We're good to go. The loan officer got all their documents squared away. Everyone's happy behind the scenes. The lenders checked out everything. Boom, we are clear to close. Those words in real estate are golden. Clear to close. That means everything has been cleared. You are now free to close this, transaction out. And the title company reaches out to the buyer and see what date works best for them to close and the time that they have available. Then you guys all agree on that time to meet, sit at the closing table, go through a lot of documentation, a lot of signing. Typically, the closings I've been at, it's typically been myself, my client, and the title agent or a notary. And we typically just sit there, sign those documentation, and you get your keys when you're done, depending on whether the loan is funded or not. But that's literally within the same days or a few minutes or hours, depending on, the loan. But once everything has been cleared and everything has been funded, you get your keys, you are good to go, and the house is now yours. I wish I could make it as concise as possible, and I know I was rambling, so I'm gonna probably watch my video back and see which parts I can chop out, but still you get what I'm trying to say, because I hope that I wasn't rambling and you didn't get the point. That's pretty much the steps of the home buying process. Like I said, every transaction is different, but make sure you have your right team in place fighting for you the entire process, even after. That is all. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any more questions, or if you would even like a free home buyer's consultation, or if you also would like a free home buyer's guide, reach out to me. My link and all the information, my link tree is down below on my website, on my emails is down below. If you guys have any questions or concerns, you can leave it in the comment section below, or feel free to reach out to me. That is the end of the video. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully you've gained a lot of information and knowledge. Until next time, bye.